Well, welcome everyone. I'm delighted to be hosting our coffee and chat, our final one of 2024. 2025 is just around the corner, and our special guest today is Raquel Montez, Deputy Superintendent of Shenandoah National Park. We're delighted that during this busy season, Raquel is making time for us, and we're going to dive right in and pick her brain about all sorts of things. So welcome, Raquel.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We would love to know in just a few sentences, what does a deputy superintendent do? How do you see your role? Maybe tell us a little bit about your education and your professional trajectory that led you here.
Okay, thank you for that question. So, as a deputy superintendent at Shenandoah National Park, I am the direct supervisor of all the division chiefs that run the park. For example, the chief of administration, the chief of interp and education, the chief of visitor and resource protection, the chief of facility management, and the chief of natural and cultural resources. And what the work entails is setting priorities and the direction as outlined and requested by the superintendent. So I pretty much my primary job is to execute the strategic priorities of the superintendent, whether that is identifying projects that he or she has prioritized, or kind of looking at other programs or realignment of our current programs to meet more of what the priorities are for the National Park Service. So it's more of a kind of a high level program manager that it's kind of leads the team into whatever direction we are moving as a whole as a park. And then in regards to your question about my career, I did serve in the U.S. Army as military police for 13 years. And while I served in the Army, I served in my first duty station was Fort Hood, Texas. We did a short deployment to Panama in the 90s. From there, I went to Germany where I served for 3 years. And then my last duty station was here in Fort Myer, Virginia, which is where I ETS'd. Excuse me, during that time, I attained a master's degree in human resources management and a graduate certificate in IT program management. So based on being a military police officer, then transitioning to human resources management, I was able to get a job with the National Park Service in my second federal employment as a human resources specialist. And from there, I transitioned to park operations as an administrative officer, have served in various details during that time as administrative officer for the Great Smoky Mountains, acting superintendent for the civil rights parks in Selma and Tuskegee, Alabama,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, and then more recent, and also did acting superintendent at Manassas National Battlefield Park, and most recently an acting superintendency at Oregon Pipe Cactus National Monument in Ajo, Arizona.
Wow. That's quite a career, Raquel. And it sounds like all of those things led you here.
Yes.
And now we have the privilege of collaborating with you as a friends organization. The trust invests in projects and programs that enhance the visitor experience and protect and safeguard the park over and above what the park can do. The National Park Service is hardworking men and women who are doing a lot, and we're really proud to be able to augment that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you see your collaboration and Shenandoah's collaboration with the trust specifically?
So the collaboration with the trust has been amazing. I've been here at the park now for 2 years, and I have been greatly impressed of all the work and the fundraising that you all to support our projects. For example, we have managed diminished tree species, stream flow monitoring, free the forest, improve the trail access throughout the park. Volunteer and youth project leads, we cannot do a lot of our youth program projects if it wasn't for your help. And it's just truly the amount of work that gets accomplished with our youth crews is just incredible. We have the Power of Nature outdoor engagement for learning, play, learn, serve. We have the Artist in Resident program that you all have done an excellent job in managing and running for us. The Healing Experience for Veterans of Project Healing Waters, and wilderness patient monitoring, evaluating watershed liming, and just different forest and overlook work that we have done. You all have, with your assistance, we've been able to accomplish throughout the park, which from when I got here 2 years ago to now, you could see a huge difference when it comes to the overlooks clearing and cleaning. You could see a huge difference in our trails. You could see, the impact that you all have um, done, and in conjunction with the work year with the work has been just incredible, and we are really grateful for all that.
Well, thank you. We feel a great sense of partnership with you and with the rest of the division chiefs and their staff as well. And do you feel like we're working more and more closely together and collaborating and looking down the line at the needs a year, 2, 3 years from now? Is that something you see happening? Is that a
I
goal you have?
do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. We've had conversations here as recently a couple months ago about the upcoming project next spring on Show Your Love for Shenandoah. So I love that we talk about these projects so far in advance so that we're able to plan and make sure that we are providing that service for all our volunteers, and also to allow you sufficient time to help us with that. Art in the Park was also a very successful program that
Yeah.
I, hope that we are able to bring back again. And the when we have our fee-free days, the ability for you all to come to the park and have a table to talk to our visitors and about what the trust and what programs they offers. And then now the future collaboration with our other current partners like SNAPA and Delaware North, the excuse me, I'm just recovering from a cold, so my voice is going a little crazy.
Drink
And
some water.
the PAT, PATC as well. So it's
Yeah.
just, it's not just a park and us relationship. It's a park and a big you us relationship, because we have many partners that you all support, and we all work collaborative to make sure that the mission of the Park Service is being met.
That's wonderful. Thank you for mentioning the partners because that's really important. This is not just two entities, it's many
Right.
entities.
Yes.
PATC, for those of you who don't know, is Potomac Appalachian Trail Club. Delaware North is the concessionaire at the park, and they give a lot to us and partner with us. And SNAPA, of course, which has been around a long time and does such great work. So I do feel like we're all working more closely together. Interestingly, that you mentioned when you were listing that long list of things that we've collaborated on, there
Mhm.
were two new projects that I thought maybe we could home in on.
Okay.
One is the wilderness patient monitoring, because this is an investment in vital signs monitors for search and rescue. So I wondered if you could like peel the curtain back and let us know a little bit about that, because we're really excited to be supporting that division.
So for that, I understand the funding just came in. I have not really been too involved in that because I did go on a detail and it just came back and I'm trying to catch up. But I think basically it is more geared towards educating the visitor on, what gear or what you should bring to be prepared to hike to reduce those search and rescues.
Right,
Are you wearing the right shoes? Do you have
right.
enough water? Do you have a raincoat? Because as we all know, the weather here in the mountain changes. One, it could be sunny in the valley, but you come to the mountain and it's raining, or the temperature drops, 10 degrees or whatever. So just being prepared with the necessary equipment. Do you have a first aid kit? Do you have a snack? Because are you looking at the trails, for the how intense they are? We have varying trails, different difficulty levels. So
Yeah.
are you taking the time to look and see if you're able to accomplish that and finish that trail? And one of the messages that we want to communicate to the public: it's okay to stop and turn around. The trail will be there for you to tackle another day. It's better for you to be safe and cautious than triggering a search and rescue, because that pulls resources from all divisions. We have
Yeah.
employees. Those search and rescue teams are fielded with current employees. So if we have a call that goes out, it might be a law enforcement ranger that is on the road or on their day off that are
Hmm.
recalled to come back to the park and perform that function. If it's an interpreter ranger who is at the visitor center and then when they get a call, he or she may say, okay, I'm now stopping the work that I'm doing now because I have to respond to this search and rescue call. So it's just that you're not communicating to the visitor that how important it is for you to be prepared when you come and visit a national park.
and have that awareness. And thank you
Yes.
for letting us glance behind the scenes at what happens when search and rescue is activated, because
Hmm.
we think from the visitor experience, but one of the goals of chatting with leadership is allowing us to see what you do and what work you do and what challenges you face. I was wondering if you could also just tell us a little bit about the project Healing Waters. The organization is a veterans support organization, is that right?
That's correct. And I
Yeah.
believe the project allows for veterans to come here to the park and engage in fishing activities. So they get to learn about, the various species that we have in the park, and
Yeah.
then they learn how to fish
Yeah.
and catch and release is what we have here at the park.
Yeah, and there's a mental health component, I believe,
Yes.
too, in being in nature and connecting with
Yes.
other veterans and um, coming to peace with your role in the world in the way that Shenandoah helps us to do. So
Yes.
great. Those are two new projects that I wanted us to spotlight and make sure that we talked about today. There's one other thing that's very important to you and to the trust and to the National Park Service, all the way up to the top of leadership, and that's diversity. Both
Yes.
increasing the diversity of NPS workforce, particularly for you, Shenandoah's workforce, and also the visitor experience, telling
Hmm.
diverse stories, welcoming diverse people to the park. I was wondering if you could tell us a little about your work doing that.
So my work, specifically, what I've been working on here at Shenandoah National Park is trying to make those connections with the local communities, the local universities, colleges, and try to inform the students and the community of the various opportunities that we have here at Shenandoah. We have, employment opportunities, we have volunteer opportunities, and we have internship opportunities. So trying to get the word out as to the various organizations where they can apply if whatever they're interested in, if they're interested in employment, volunteerism, or internships. So getting that word out. And another is diversifying our visitors. And we have worked really closely with the trust to bring Latino in the Outdoors, to bring in Outdoor Afro and other organizations, that we that have been introduced to the park by the trust, that we were not aware that such groups existed. So it's just been really rewarding to be able to offer those experiences to those diverse communities, because sometimes this is the first time for their first experience in a national park for whatever reason, and their first experience camping, their first experience hiking, or their first experience just listening to an interpreted program. So those are, we want to make sure that we're offering those opportunities far and wide, and let them know that yes, the entrance to the park might be cost prohibitive for some families, but they're through the trust, we're able to offer those opportunities to them and provide that rewarding experience.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a very important goal for us too, and for our partners. And I did want to mention, I don't know if you know, Raquel, that one of our projects this year is a Native American History Fellow.
yes,
And
yes,
that research position is something that we're working on right now in order to
hmm,
bring an expert in to tell stories of Native peoples
yes,
and then be able to share that with the public, which enriches all of us when we know about all the lives that have been touched by the park. So
correct.
yeah, yeah. Well, I know we only have a half hour, so we're about at the halfway point. I have a couple more questions for you, and then we can open up the Q&A. So please feel free to put a question in the chat. We're keeping an eye on that. The staff is watching that. Raquel, what are you looking forward to coming up now in 2025? Any plans that you have? Any ideas you're working on? Nothing that has come to fruition yet, but what are
Hmm.
some goals you have?
So the biggest thing that I'm focusing on 2025 is the Lewis Mountain story.
Oh, wow.
We did get an intern through the historic HBCU, Historical Black Colleges and Universities internship, and that person, uh, we wanted to. The Lewis story was rolled out online and it's available online. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to give that story a little bit more justice, and we wanted to kind of, and what the focus of this intern is going to be is figuring out how do we roll this out in time for either late 2025 or early 2026 for America's 8 to 50th, and tell the story of segregation in a national park and how that was removed. The first experiences for African Americans or people of color to recreate in a national park, and kind of tell that story for adults, because we do a lot of planning for school grade children up to high school, but I think we're going to do change the focus a little bit and tell the story for adults in a more sensitive and meaningful manner, and also focus on bringing in some of those descendants that worked at the Lewis Mountain and tell their story firsthand so that visitors are able to hear their stories from them and have an opportunity for questions and answers. And just, kind of talk about how it was working there during that era, their experience during Jim Crow era, and their experience afterwards, after, during the civil rights movement, and then when people were desegregated. And then, also another important point to talk about is how did it feel when they lost their area that they were able to recreate, because now they had the opportunity to recreate in the entire park, but they were used to just having specific areas. So, that's our conversations that we want to have in a sensitive manner. The other thing that I'm working on and targeting for fiscal year 2025 or calendar year 2025 is developing a closer connection with our military entities. There is a program called Everbridge that Department of Interior has entered into an agreement with Department of Defense. And what that does is an opportunity for people that are exiting the military to come internships in national parks, and the military continues to pay their salary during that 6-month period or however long it is before the ETS. And that offers opportunities for service members to gain critical experience so they're able to compete for those positions if they wish to stay here, and also builds capacity for the park to do, to perform duties that normally maybe we have not had opportunity to complete, or just give us additional assistance.
And that's a partnership with the Department of Interior. So that's going
Yes.
all the way up the chain of command. That's
Correct.
really impressive and exciting. And we'll look forward to hearing more about that as the year goes on so we can update our constituents. We have a
Yes.
really important question in the chat, which I'm glad that our guest reminded me of. Can you talk a little bit about goals of accessibility? All
Yes.
kinds of accessibility, physical, hearing, seeing. I mean, just so many ways that we can improve that experience.
Mm-hmm.
Any insight you'd like to offer into what the park is thinking?
So what we're thinking is, one, we already started doing accessibility online. So a lot of our documents and our websites are being updated to be 508 compliant, and to make sure that people online are able to access all those documents and information, because we do have a heavy online presence. The other that we're doing right now is that we're working with SNAPA to try to improve the doors in the Big Meadows Visitor Center to kind of make sure that they're operational for people that have mobility issues, to make sure that doors are responsive and they're able to access that area. Another big project that we're currently working with our trust is accessibility on one of their trails. So kind of what does that look like? What work needs to be done to make those trails accessible? We have one right now, Dark Hollows Falls, but it does need a little bit of repair. So that, and as well as the other accessible trail that we're trying to build at the south end of the park. So it's just a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, yeah. And I would urge our guests on the call to watch this space, because we are having conversations about accessibility, and we are talking about future projects that fit into those goals. And we have had Nat Phelps on Coffee and Chat. Nat is the, I'm not going to say his title right, but he oversees the trails, the team
Correct.
that manages trails. And he is extremely focused on accessibility.
Yes.
And I want to just clarify that the Limberlost Trail,
Limberlost, yes, yes.
which the park has worked, which we've collaborated on. We have invested in Limberlost. At one time, it was ADA certified, but things have changed somewhat. Is that right? And is that something you can speak to, or is that something we put on our NAT list for later?
that would probably be a NAT list for later, because we are identifying like what happened, how did we lose that certification, and what can we do to have it and bring it back up.
Yeah, yeah. What kind of brainstorming do you do with people like Nat and the division chiefs in terms of some of the challenges? How do you help them work through their challenges, and what challenges do they bring to you?
So a lot of the challenges, how I deal is just asking questions. They might come with a problem on future projects. For example, we have competing projects. How do we realign them to make sure that they are being completed in a sensible fashion? For example, if we have a waterline project at the same time that we have a trail project, if they conflict, well, how do we fix that? Do we have to adjust the timelines? Do we have to move the project to a different year? What is the priority at that time? And that's a conversation that we have with the superintendent.
Mm-hmm.
And he, tells us, okay, yes, this is important. We're going to focus on that. Or, we go ahead and move it to a different year. Another
Mm.
project that we're looking at right now is the gates in the park. It's kind of
Oh,
making sure that they're functional, making sure that they're able to be secured. In case we have bad inclement weather, we don't want visitors to be coming into the park and putting themselves in danger. And then consequently putting our staff in danger because now we have to go and save them from
right.
the situation that they place themselves. So it's just, very little projects that we have that, address the accessibility and safety for the park
Yeah.
and visitors and employees.
Yeah. I never thought about gates unless I talk to professionals in the National Park Service. There are so
Mhm.
many, I still see everything as a visitor. So,
Right.
and I'm 3 years into this job and I've learned like 5 new things just in this one call. So, tell us a little bit about what your favorite part of your job is. I know you love your job and you're really good at it. Maybe you don't have a favorite thing, but give us a little glimpse into Raquel's favorite day to day.
My favorite day to day has to do with partnerships. Like I really enjoy going out into the community and getting to know, the visitors. I like going into the rec center and seeing what they're doing, what the local community is doing for students and people of, that don't have means, and seeing how the community is handling that situation, going and listening about our education program and how we are reaching different audiences through our distance learning program, going out and talking to military members or former military members and just talking about the great opportunities that the National Park Service has and or other federal agencies, and then just having conversations with you and trying to figure out if our need meets your priorities and strategic planning and how we could work together to advance that goal.
Yeah.
So that
Well,
that is by far my favorite part.
that's wonderful. And what's one of the most challenging things?
One of the most challenging things I believe is reaching alignment, because we're all people, we all have different goals, and it's just, it's the same goal, but just people, the outcome may be a little bit different or the timeline might be different. So just trying to figure out that alignment so that we all reach that destination together and, and accomplish, and do the work that we're here to do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know you like to mentor your staff and build bridges between them, and that's been really important for you. And I'm sure your human resources background has inspired you in that way. Now I'm going to put you on the spot just a little bit. Have you met the new superintendent yet?
I have. I have. Yeah,
Wonderful.
we've been working together now for a couple months.
That's great. That's great. And he will be on site in the park starting in January. Is that right?
Correct. Yes, he
Yes.
is. He is right now. He's splitting his time where he's here at one pay period and then teleworking while he awaits his move. So,
Got it.
yeah,
Yeah, and he's already building bridges with his staff. He's had Zoom
yes.
meetings. He zoomed into our board meeting in October, and we had a chance to meet him. So we're looking forward to a lot of exciting things and working with him and with you. Do we have any other questions before I let Raquel go back to her workday? I just want to see if we have any questions in the chat.
Anna, Maya has her hand up.
Maya, yes, please tell us who
Okay.
you are, Maya. We're so glad that we have a partner organization here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Raquel, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us and chat. I'm Maya and I work for Alliance for the Shenandoah Valley. So we're a local conservation organization all about clean land or, protecting the land, clean water. We do a lot of that through land use transportation planning, which sounds boring, but like it's really key for how we, protect the environment. I do community engagement and I'm curious, like you mentioned just now, like the question that was just asked, like partnerships, collaborations, like are there ways for local conservation organizations like mine and others out there that may align with some of the initiatives of the park? And like how can we kind of push those things forward?
What a great question, Maya. Thank you.
Yes. So you could reach directly to me, and then we could form that relationship, or we could work through the trust. I mean, the trust has been excellent in bringing partners just such as yourself and other organizations, and that's how we've been able to develop those relationships.
For sure. Good to know. Well, you may be hearing from me, and I'm very excited to hear that
Absolutely.
you're focusing on Lewis Mountain. I know that the trust is also moving forward with some efforts, but
Mhm.
I work with the Shenandoah Valley Black Heritage Project, and they are definitely a key group that I think should be involved. So yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And I will say we look forward to talking more about the Lewis Mountain Project, the
Mhm.
research, the outreach to the public. That's an ongoing
Mhm.
interest of ours that we want to get out to the public. So please, Maya, watch this space. And I'd love to talk to you about the Black Heritage Project that you just mentioned. There are all
Mhm.
kinds of synergies here. So that's why it's great that we have a partner organization here today. And I know, Raquel, that that is really important to you, that kind of collaboration, and it's been sort of the hallmark of your tenure. So we thank you for that. Any other questions before we let Raquel get back to her workday?
Diana's got a hand up.
Oh, Diana, please go ahead.
Hello there.
Hi.
You all, again, always just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for the amazing collaboration this past fall. It was such an amazing opportunity, and we heard such great feedback from all our participants who were able to attend Otoño Fest. I was just wondering.
Diana, what project was that? Was it a one-day thing?
It was an overnight camp out where we had over 50 participants. Almost half of them were first time, either in the park or first time camping.
Wow.
So we worked with Karina and had rangers there and did search and
Wow.
rescue education.
Mhm.
We did sort of interpretation around the local fauna, just taught basic camp skills. And so that was with a grant. And I think I saw Val on the line. So it was Latino Outdoors, DMV, and Defensores de la Cuenca.
Wow.
And part through a grant through the trust that we were able to purchase the kitchen equipment, which allowed us for the first time to cook together, which was such, I mean, like it puts tears to my eyes to think about that experience. And even when we started cooking and having all the kids rush up, oh, I want to chop vegetables, and sharing stories about just, cultural dishes across Latin America. So it was
Beautiful.
beautiful. Yeah, it was such a wonderful event. And I know you're short on time, but I did want to ask if you could speak to, right, we're about to go into a transition, and I'm not sure, it sounds like you have a very long career. You've gone through a couple of transitions. If there's any sort of changes in the posture or strategy in working with partners that you anticipate during the transition.
Great question, Diana.
I don't anticipate any changes to that we have a policy that is, been around with the National Park Service on partnerships that has not, it has not changed. On the other hand, they actually, they stress and they encourage us to continue having those partnership conversations and find, not only partners that are able to, where we're able to have philanthropic agreements, but also the little P partners, that we're able to form those relationships to, reach out and engage different audiences. So it's, that work is not going to stop regardless of the administration.
Well, that's very optimistic and empowering. Thank you. Yeah, and thank you for that question, Diana, and for all the questions that we've had. And I want to thank everybody who joined us today. This has been recorded. We will send it out to everybody who has registered. So Raquel, you're going to go into our video library and be famous. And I want to thank you for taking the time. I want to thank you for working to make Shen such a great place to work and such a great place to visit. And we look forward to hearing more about your work and your collaborations in 2025. And I wish everybody a wonderful and happy holiday season. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Raquel. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.